Welcome to the Gibberpish Podcast.
Well, it may have taken 5 years, but we finally made it to the funny sex number. Isn't that right, Dom?
The funny what number?
The funny sex number. We made it to episode 69. Hooray!
Oh, fuck. If I knew, I would have made more of an effort.
I had party poppers, but I shoved them up my ass. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, episode 69, you need to do that. The title for this week's episode is just going to be episode 69. Nice.
Just a lowercase hidden away in the corner. I'll do it. I'll get on it right now. But it's been a little while since we last recorded, but it's been pretty on my end uneventful anyway. Just more of the same, and then just getting back into playing video games again after starting Dead Island Riptide or Dead Island, and then carrying on with the series. So it's been kind of uneventful for me. I kind of enjoyed it for a change.
I mean, I wish I could say that my summer, for as long as it's been, has been anything close to typical. Usually about this time, because I've been at uni, I'm usually just dossing about doing nothing really. But I've been going on, I think I've had an interview a week for the past 8 weeks, which is good. I feel like I'm kind of narrowing that gap of getting a job.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there is a bit of fatigue setting in. As I said to you a couple of days ago, some of them have been going fantastically, and I wait to hear back them. But there's others that are just not going well at all. As you know, as people have been listening to the podcast, or if you're new to the podcast, I fully qualified lawyer, got all my degrees and stuff. I just need to do my apprenticeship to get properly fully qualified and court certified. I went for an interview with a solicitor's in Grangemouth, which I thought fucking brilliant. That's 20 minutes away from my house. I can fucking cycle there and back if I wanted to. They do a cycle to work scheme. Everything just kind of lined up as being, pretty good for me. And I seen they were doing criminal defence, and that's the area. Criminal law itself is what I want to be in. I want to kind of be more the prosecutor side, but criminal defence is a good step in that area. I can get some experience of how that side of it operates. But as I was doing the interview, I was just sitting talking back and forth with the interviewers, and she asked me the question. Said, given that the law itself encompasses so many different areas, is there any areas of law that you're keen to avoid, or you're maybe not so 100% on? And I thought, you know what, I'm going to use this as a fucking shining moment, an absolute example of how versatile a candidate I am. She asked me that question, and I replied, while I am fully prepared to do these tasks and perform tasks in that area of the law, I'm not exactly strong on conveyancing, but I have done enough training in the past to know how that side of the law operates and the forms and practices that are needed therein. So while I'm not the strongest in conveyancing, I can still do it. And
solid answer.
Solid answer. But then I took it that one step too far, and I said, you've probably heard that quite a lot. I mean, not many people like conveyancing. I mean, I've never heard of anyone that chooses to go into conveyancing. It's not a well-liked area of law. This woman looked me straight in my eyes. She went, "Oh, I'm actually I'm the head of the conveyancing department. So for the first 6 months of your apprenticeship, you'd be working with me." And I just kind of readjusted, and I kind of felt like saying, "Okay, I think you've heard enough from me. I'll just head out." But I managed to kind of clamber it back, but there was no, as well as I did for the rest of the interview, there was no coming back from that. Like saying, "Oh yeah, fuck conveyancing. Oh, I'm actually the head of the conveyancing department." Well, fuck.
Well, I told a friend of mine, because we're talking about that. I said, my friend just insulted. He's doing an interview. Just insulted the head of the department he was being interviewed by.
Yeah.
I'm like, I heard about it, and I'm not gonna lie, I was laughing at it when I was having my lunch today. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
The weird thing is, I do interviews for the company I work at, where we're hiring in people for the lads staff. It's the supervisors come in and help do the interviews, and because obviously we know the technical side, we can ask questions, we can prompt conversations based on their technical know-how, and we come and do these interviews. I've done I'd say 10 in the last couple of weeks, and just try and interview some new candidates, and that would have, as an interviewer, I'm impressed that the interviewer turned it around on you that fast, because I'd have been stunned.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. It's so bad though, because like at a certain point, I'd have probably just, if it had been me in that interview, I'd have just stood up and walked out and said thank you for your time. I just walked
Yeah.
straight out. I ain't claiming this one back. Bye.
See, to be honest, I should have just stood up at that point, put my suit jacket back on, shook their hands and said thank you for your time and walked out. But my head went, I can fix this, I can turn this around. Could have fucked. I couldn't do that.
Here's the thing: is see if you did. So potential argument for you being a great lawyer. I won this case. I made a case for myself being employed by you after insulting you. That's how damn good a lawyer I am.
Yep.
Oh, you get them next time. It's a pain. I remember going through the interviews when I was just looking for a job, and you at least have your degree. Going at those interviews like, I just want to work, gets you fucking nowhere.
Although I did have an interview the following, I think it was the following day, with the Crown Office, and I thought, I am not fucking letting this happen again. So I prepared, I think I filled out at least 8 pages of my A4 notebook with answers and, history of the company. And it was a 20-minute interview wherein they asked me 3 questions. And the questions I asked them at the back of it lasted longer than the interview itself. And I was just sitting thinking, like, I can't win with this. I either prepare too little and get, the taste of foot in my mouth, or I prepare too much and then the interviewers just look at me going, you need to ask the line manager, you need to ask the supervisor. Surely that's used to.
Sometimes you find you're being interviewed by a HR person, and that's kind of like, you can tell that you're not dealing with the person who runs the show. I think it's better generally if you end up interviewing somebody who runs it, because then you can, if not like impress them, you can at least give them a hint of like, I am actually really keen to work here, and if they're hiring, they've probably seen enough kind of down and out people to say, okay, that's the spark, that's the difference between someone who's fed up and somebody who actually wants to come in and work and earn their pay.
Yeah.
But with a HR person, it's like, you don't fit the form I want to fill out.
Yeah.
And that's from my experience as being interviewed like years ago, and just going around to like different places and just being like, I want to work in your warehouse. Why? I want paid.
Yeah.
They don't like that answer, but it's the truth.
Yeah. The thing is, they try and catch you out as well. It's like they say, "Oh, why do you want to work here?" Apart from being paid, and you always just kind of address it. It's like, "Oh, the pay'd be nice, but I really want to work here because I really want to help people." Or in my case, it's like, I really want to help people stay out of jail or get put in jail for their crimes or something. You always just have to kind of think on your feet.
Well, see, with law, there's a purpose behind it. It's a calling. It's something you can really speak to, and it can speak to you. You can convey that law means something to you.
Yeah, it's personal.
I had an interview with a place that makes like the ratchets that like go in the back of trucks to like hold stuff down. And they're like,
ratchet straps.
Yeah, and they're like, what excites you about this job?
The pay.
Fuck off!
Oh fuck! You
Suck
just
my
fucking
dick.
reminded me.
That's
You
what
just
excites
fucking reminded me.
What excites you about this job? Secretary seemed hot.
You've just fucking reminded me of the worst interview I ever done. This was, I think this is when, because I went to college the first time to try and do something with computing, and fuck that one up royally. And I went for an interview at it was a food production warehouse in Grangemouth, and they asked me all these questions. So, if you want to join this company, where would you see yourself in 10 years? And I was like, hopefully out of the warehouse and maybe into some kind of office job. And they say, oh no, in 10 years you'd probably still be working in the warehouse. Fucking no chance of promotion here. And then they asked me that question of, so what excites you, what brings you, what motivates you to get this job? And I said some bullshit like along the lines of, it seems like a dynamic workplace, but in my head all I was thinking of was the fucking money. I was 22 at the time. I was like, I don't give a shit about work motivations. I just want to get paid.
And here's the thing with like the younger generation of people coming into the workplace now, that there's no like mystique, there's no like awe of the workplace. Like, they're here for the job, the rent is due, and it's due now. They need a job and a paycheck. I don't play around in that like area of the questions when I'm doing interviews because I know you want a job. I've been there before.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and make you say, what do you really admire the most out of this particular part of the industry? And it's like they need something to pay off their student loans.
Yeah.
It's employment's a real one, and those interviews are just a disaster. I hope you get through it, man. I really do, because it's you're like my best friend, so obviously I'm a little biased, but you're a good guy,
Yeah.
so I don't see why not really. But it's a matter of time, and there's something about interviews as well where you can find people who are good at being interviewed, as opposed to people who just do not give a good interview, and it's normally people in, it's gonna sound really sad, but it's like the service industry where people are used to getting a job off a recommendation of a friend, like, oh, I worked with so and so, they're really good, get them in.
Yeah.
And that can get you in the door as opposed to sitting down for a formal interview. Whereas I imagine law isn't really working that way. At least I hope not.
I mean, if you've been in the legal sector for about 5+ years, and you say, "Oh, I worked with Sheriff Smith when they were, partner at this law firm," oh, brilliant. When can you start? In that case, it's fucking jobs for the boys. Like, but if you are newly qualified or looking for a traineeship, you could go in and say, "My dad is the judge at the High Court," and be like, "That's cool. You're just not a good fit." Like,
I'm actually quite glad that that's the case. That like, yeah, if you worked at this firm, we're pretty sure you can work at our firm. But at the same time, if you just come in, well, my dad, nah.
yeah,
it's not quite nepotism there, or we're just preventing that a little bit. I'm happy enough with that. To hear that's how it's really working.
because I went for an interview in a place called McHugh and Fraser in Edinburgh, and the guy he'd been advertising this job. I think it was the 4th time he'd re-advertised it, because the first 2 people that went for it got better jobs in Edinburgh, so he couldn't really do much about it. The 3rd time he went with someone inside the company. It was their nephew, and he was fucking awful. Right, he had no interest in law, but he was kind of needed a job, and his parents coerced his uncle to give him the damn job. And he said after about 2 weeks, he had that big of a backlog of mail that was meant to be sent out to clients and sent to the court that we had no choice but to just sack him on the spot. So this is the 4th time we've had to repost this job. And as soon as the interview was over, and I just kind of asked, I said, the person that was this horrible, why did you hire them? And that's when I found out it was the guy's nephew. Shit.
The interviewer's nephew.
Yeah, it was the interviewer's nephew.
Oh, fuck. that is brutal.
Yeah. Nepotism bites you in the ass there.
Yeah. And here's the thing is, if you're hiring somebody through nepotism and you think we don't know as the employees, we know.
Yeah.
We found out real quick. Because that person you're hiring on nepotism, typically a bit of a fucking idiot. And can't help but mention, my uncle actually kind of runs the place. Oh, fucking brilliant.
Oh yeah, it happened when I worked at the Richmond. I remember it's when I first started doing shifts in the kitchen. So I was plating up some starters, and a check had just come in, and it was like 3 bowls of soup, and I said, "Right, soup's ready to go." And the boss's sister's like best friend's younger brother or something like that, and this guy was a fuck up completely. And he came in and he took the plate of soup, and within 3 steps he dropped them because his hand was shaking that badly. And I picked him up and made some more, like put some more soup out, and said, "Just carry it with 2 hands. You don't need to get fancy with it." And he went, "Oh right, my uncle, said this would be a bit easier." I said, "Oh, did you know that this guy was my uncle?" And I went, "No, didn't know at all, mate." Just being quite sarcastic with him as he's carrying this tray of soup out. I think he got moved to a different place within about 3 days because he just fucked up that badly. We had on the checks and stuff that we would get in, there'd be notes on the back saying, lactose intolerant, peanut allergy. This guy genuinely went to a mother and daughter who had a severe peanut allergy and put down like chicken cashew and stuff in front of them. It's like we had to go there and clean the table, like move them over to a different table. yeah, it's understandable that this guy went, but he did what you pretty much said. It's like kept saying like, I don't know how Uncle Blank does this. Like Uncle Blank never said they'd be doing this kind of thing. I was like, you're just fucking worst person.
Yeah, and just the idea of exposing someone to an allergen that they've told you, hey, I don't handle this at all. I will inflate like a fucking balloon. You
Yeah.
put this near me. You're like, hey, someone ordered the chicken cashew? No.
They can get that shit away from me.
And as well, see in the restaurant business, like it does not fly at all. Like those nepo babies get caught out quick.
Yeah.
We all know who's showing up to work late in the Audi. Like, yeah, we know it's you. My brother is still at the same restaurant he was at before, and he now sends us pictures of like the stuff he's working on, and like I hate you. I really do. He sends us pictures of like briskets and stuff that he's been smoking away. I've just sent one to you just to make you feel bad, but that's what he sends us. Like, oh, just at working early this morning. I'm like, oh, just eat the whole thing by yourself. I don't care.
Yeah, I know the restaurant that you're talking about, because that's kind of the birthday restaurant with my family. If it ever like me or my two brothers have a birthday, we just kind of go, yeah, we'll go there. And if you book a table with them, you get to follow their Instagram, and it's just here's us making fresh smoked brisket. Here's us making these delicious like beef and short rib burgers with like homemade jalapeno cheese, and that jalapeno cheese would kill me, but if that burger doesn't look good.
Yeah. And it's a shame because like we're trying to plan a new movie night, and you want to be like, "Hey, see, since you're coming after work,
Yeah,
we
fancy
did that
just
once.
lifting a slab of brisket and chucking it in the back.
We did that once, and we're just like, "Hey, here's our order. Just make sure you pick it up and we'll drive it back home. That'll do." Not sure if that's lied, but we did it anyway. It's fucking delicious.
Yeah.
I highly recommend the Reuben.
Oh, what was it? I had when I was there. I had a cheesesteak, which again not good with cheese, but I fought through every step of this goddamn thing because it's so good. It had grilled green peppers on it with a side of pulled pork chips. Holy shit, this thing murdered me, but I fucking enjoyed it.
We went big with that order, so I went for the Reuben burger, which is burger, coleslaw, pastrami meat on top, and all with like a kind of a gravy in it. Fucking delicious. Everything comes with gravy. It's Canadian.
Yeah,
and then
Canadian as fuck.
I had the Philly cheesesteak because I like a Philly cheesesteak. And then I had the carnitas fries, which is like just beef and fries mixed together in a bag. And I'm like, I'm going to die. I don't care. I'm going to die happy. So.
Oh, I remember on the pulled pork fries that I had, they had the green pepper. They had enough to say that this isn't going to kill you. Like they had enough healthy options on it. But then they had curry mayonnaise on it with a spicy curry through it, and I thought, not spicy, but had a little bit of a spiced gravy sauce over it. I just thought, on paper, this sounds like it wouldn't be my type of thing, but I think I devoured the full thing. It was just so good. Like it's one of those places where it's a little bit pricey if you go big, but it's so fucking worth it.
Yeah, it's the treat. It's the birthday restaurant, as you say. I think it's the right place to go for it. I had my birthday as well. I turned 32 and didn't do shit. I felt so ill at the same time, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like. There was a possible work night out at the time. I didn't go. I was just too unwell, and I was like, I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna come home. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm an old man now. I don't care anymore. I'm dying. Hooray!
I get called the grumpy old bastard whenever people talk about their birthdays. Like, I'm all for people that say, I kind of want to do something on my birthday. You know, I like to go out for a drink or go out for a meal or something. That shit I'm fine with. But see people that get up at 12:05, 12:05 on their birthday and just go, it's my birthday, and then they're posting about it on social media all fucking day and guilt tripping people that don't make it to the birthday party. Go fuck yourself.
The worst one I've seen is, it's my birthday week. Fuck right off.
Birthday week can piss off.
You're a grown ass person with bills to pay.
Yeah, you more than likely have people that depend on you. Have dependents.
Yeah, and you see people being like, gonna celebrate my birthday week, starting off by going to all these different salons and get my nails done, and you're like, who's paying? What's your job, and can I have it for like a week? I just
Yeah.
want to wipe out some credit card debt. It's fine. I just because apparently you get paid in stacks.
Yeah. If you can do all that shit within a week.
I just I have a laugh at it, and I was like, I can't look at this anymore. It's weird. It's almost American, like the whole Sweet 16 thing, where they just go absolutely nuts for the 16th birthday, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's a child still, but okay,
Yeah.
give it a car. That'll end well.
If you're over the age of 20 and you make a big deal about your birthday to the point where you call it a birthday week, I think you need to reevaluate some things.
Yeah. But speaking of ending well, I have been playing Dead Island Riptide after finishing the first one, and I remember saying I'm basically run out of steam on the first one, but for some reason I thought it would be okay at the end. I broke the end of the game. I don't know if we talked about this last time, but the guy at the end of the game, you're fighting him like on top of a building, and you're fighting initially kind of on top of a helipad, because he's getting a helicopter off the island to avoid the zombie outbreak, only to turn himself into a zombie for reasons. Oh, actually, no, wait, I remember. You shoot his wife. That's why. So he's like, fuck it, I'm killing everyone. Turns himself into a zombie, and then just goes full mutant mode and just starts slapping everyone around. Only thing is, he slapped me off the platform, and I just got to take free pot shots at him for like 10 minutes and finish the game. That was it. So I was like, oh, that was a massive letdown. Maybe the second one will be better. Nah, it didn't work as well. It's the same game, essentially, because I think they turned around that like first one and then did the second one like a year later.
Yeah.
So it didn't really do much in terms of changing. The only thing they added was they added a kind of base defense thing where for like at a certain point you guys reach a stronghold and you have to hold the stronghold while waves of zombies attack. It was really, really shit. Oh, and they added boats that were also really, really shit. Because you could also just run around the same swamp area you were using the boats to traverse. So you couldn't you could just ignore the boats, and it was all it was useful for was transporting heavy items. And that was it. So Dead Island Riptide and Dead Island, great concept. I'm still probably gonna buy the second one once, it's only just out like a month ago, so I'll let the patches and stuff get fixed and sort stuff out, and then I'll go back and play the second one. But you don't need to go back to play the first ones. I mean, the first one had one punch mode, which was awesome, and then you realize that eventually you stop being able to one punch things. You just hit really hard. So that's it changes the game, which is a shame. Because the one punch mode doesn't stack, like it's not based on any characteristic that escalates with your character. It just kind of stays at a certain level, and eventually the zombies stop getting one punched or one kicked, because kicking is more effective than punching in one punch mode. I don't know. I mean, one punch mode is a fan mod that got made into official like canon for the first game when they remastered it, but that's like it. So I mean, I was playing through the second one. I finished it. It was okay, but its final boss was even worse. You basically end up with a major character turning on you, and she takes the virus thing at the end, turns into a monster, which just makes her like 1.5 times her original size, and she just screams the entire time while wielding a chainsaw and chasing you around. That's it. Not like a weird mutant transformation, just she gets bigger, and that's all you can really do. So yeah, that was really disappointing. And the game ends with you taking the virus, going monster mode, and killing her. That's it. Done. Ta-da! So I mean, I was looking forward to it. I was having fun at some of the levels, but like you go from zombie fighting, and then eventually there's a point where you realize you're fighting more humans with guns than zombies with swords. So you're kind of like, I'm kind of done here. I checked out of it. So I mean, I ended up downloading and buying Forza 5. So I'm playing that now as a kind of palate cleanser. So I'm zooming around in race cars that I've covered in waifu stickers, just to make myself happy again. So I'll return to zombie slaying momentarily. But honestly, the second I was like finished the story of those games, immediately just deleted. Wasn't worth it in terms of time. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think you need to be in the mood for that type of shit. And Dead Island to me always struck me as that kind of thing was if you played it for a little while, it wasn't a game that you could keep coming back to. It's kind of like Left 4 Dead. I fucking love Left 4 Dead, but I couldn't play Left 4 Dead, consistently over months. Like, it'd have to be like, it's that time of year again. I'm going to run through the Left 4 Dead games. I could never do that. I don't think I could take an entire start to finish game like Dead Island if it's just killing zombies.
Mm. Well, with Left 4 Dead, it was quite good because you can jump on and just grab a couple of matches with friends and then jump off again. It doesn't really require an investment in time. Whereas at a certain point, I decided I'm getting through this game. I'm completing the storyline to find out what happens or to get new upgrades. But I actually finished the second game because I was looking at it. I was looking for guides on how to beat the last boss, but I realized I couldn't quite get it to work. And I realized that I'd actually just had to get to the rage mode, and I'd win instantly because I'd over leveled playing the first game, and your character carries over from the first to the second, or from the first game to Riptide, and you can carry over all the stats. So I had a fully filled out character that I'd played through the first game with, that was ready to go in the second game, who was still filled out completely. So I had accidentally unlocked all these rage mode things, and the last part of the game is you going rage mode with the injection, and then all your combos stack up. And I built up a massive combo of things, hit her once and she exploded. So I went, oh, okay, I win, hooray. So it is one of those things that if you stick with it for ages, you end up overpowering the game. And once you obviously learn how to, at a certain point, I realized the zombies aren't reacting to anything I do. If they see me, they react to me. But if I shoot one of them in front of another one, the other one doesn't react. It doesn't even react to the gunshot. I'm not using silenced weapons. I'm just using normal guns. And it just kind of, I win. I can break this game in 5 different ways. And most of it involves throwing swords at people. So, yeah.
Not using the sword against them, just literally chucking the sword up.
Yeah, really. I mean, I was playing the sword-wielding girl, Xian, I think she's from China. It's a thing of initially you meet her and she's she's just part of the hotel staff that you're staying with, and then it reveals that she's actually Chinese special forces sent to infiltrate and steal information and send it back to China. They're okay,
of course,
pretty cool. But she's the blade weapon specialist, so all her attacks are gain 5% more damage on blades, then 10, 15, 25 or whatever, and then that also applies to when you throw weapons. And when you throw weapons, you get a massive amount of damage. It triples the damage, but obviously you risk losing or breaking the weapon more than if you were just attacking.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter, because I'm just going to make you explode anyway. I'm throwing a sword at people, and then both the arms fly off. And I'm I only hit one arm, but it gave me the damage for both. And then the zombie falls over, I pick the sword up, and then just throw it at the next guy. Just walk from room to room, throwing swords at zombies. The fucking best. At points, it was the best game ever. But then it became just that.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm bored now. The dopamine wore off, and I'm just sat here in a room full of messy zombie corpses, and I don't care anymore. Oh, and of course, all the voice acting sucks dick. So that's fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's an early PlayStation 3 game.
I remember it on 360, so yeah, must have been about there.
Yeah. The kind of voice acting was only just starting its uptick then.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of, here, Terry from The Office. Do you want to be a voice actor? Sure, I can do that.
Yeah, it was very telling when you had the average guys who are like, "Hey, come over here. I have a quest for you," and then you get to the one guy who's actually done by a voice actor, and you're like, "Okay, there's the difference there." That kind of emoting through the kind of sad speeches and stuff, can't even find my wife anymore. Where could you be? Could you have a look for me? I'm begging you. I'll give you everything. And you're like, okay, this guy's a little bit different, as opposed to, hey, come over here. I have items. Would you like items? No. What? How did you AI generate a voice in 2005? What the fuck? But yeah, it's fun occasionally to tap into these old time capsules and go back to. It's a shame to say it now, as they had a birthday, so I'm starting to get all the older comments now. I'm like, fuck off. But getting into the older games that we remember back in the day, actually going back and poking at them, like, okay, this wasn't all as good as we thought it was.
Yeah,
kind of fun. I mean, to be fair, I did see, by the way, that the Gears of War trailer at its anniversary, and I'm like, that can't be 20 years old.
What, the original Gears of War trailer?
The original Mad World trailer for Gears of War hit an anniversary recently.
20? Nah, not a chance.
Yep.
In fact, no, 2003 sounds about right. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I've got a YouTube video from 2006. What's that? I'm looking at stuff just now. It's 15 years old, according to entertainment.ie, and that is 1 year ago, so 16 years ago.
Shit.
Yeah, bro. Everybody just felt their knees pop a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah, everyone's back just tightened up.
But have you been playing any games recently?
Yeah, I actually I've been living vicariously through streamers to play Street Fighter 6 because can't really afford to buy it right now. Money's still a little bit tight. But I do have Game Pass, so I've been playing Capcom's latest squad-based shooter, Exoprimal, which on paper sounds like a game that I wrote when I was in primary school because you play an exo fighter, which is your own kind of create a character, and he is a pilot of an exo suit, which is this kind of big like, exoskeleton suit thing. And it's very Overwatch. You've got your assault characters, you've got your tank characters, you've got your healers, or support they call them. And you know, one's got a giant katana, one's got these little dual blade things, another one's got just a regular assault rifle. Then you've got your tanks. One of them's just got a big heavy shield. The other one's got a Gatling gun. Another one's got like a two-handed like samurai sword thing, and you know, so on and so forth. And the whole point of the game is you've been transported some like 3 years back in time by a rogue AI who's trying to create the ultimate exosuit or something like that. And he is basically pitting you against these what he deems as the strongest enemy in the history of the world, and it's just fucking dinosaurs. So you basically go back in time in squads of 4 or 5 in these big giant mech suits and kill dinosaurs.
I'm not gonna lie.
About as complicated as the game gets.
If you look at the history of the world, dinosaurs are there for like tens of millions of years. We've been around for like 500,000 years, and we've already fucked the planet. I mean, yeah, technically that makes us better. We're technically stronger. We fucked an entire planet, but also giant lizards walking around does seem like a strong opponent to face as a human being. I can't really follow the AI's logic on this one. I think they're right.
Yeah.
Like, if we need the suits to win, we're not stronger than the dinosaurs.
Yeah. And to make it even more difficult, he's mutated some of them. Like, you get these things that have these massive gas pockets on their back, that they just become giant walking bombs. So if you shoot them and then let them run at you, they just explode and take out half your health. And they usually spawn in packs of 4 or 5. So if you get overtaken by them, basically just instant death, waiting for the healer to come and respawn you.
I'm looking at the gameplay. I'm looking at some images of this, and I'm getting big Destiny vibes.
I've never really played Destiny, so
just Destiny versus dinosaurs. I just get the feeling that it looks awesome, but at the same time, like, it's really got that Destiny vibe to it, especially with the different like robotic characters, but also they've all got like their own style.
Yeah, and for me, it plays very much like Overwatch, but Overwatch that I'm actually interested in.
I just clicked on an image from the Escapist where they've got like a bunch of shields and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that does look like Overwatch.
Yeah, but I don't know what it is. Whereas Overwatch, for me, got quite annoying because there was just, if you played a certain class, you were basically just top of the pile. You could be annihilating everybody. There's a bit more balance in Exoprimal, but in my mind, there's only so many suits that are worth playing. There's a couple of them that just have no health at all. They can get in and deal stupid damage, but if you get caught by a bigger dinosaur, or if you get caught by the enemy team in the final mission, you're kind of fucked.
But I just saw a picture of the guy with the two-handed katana. That looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But the only thing is, you have to be level 37 to unlock it.
It's like proper. I wrote this when I was 5 level of cool. It's just fucking awesome, like childish awesome. I really dig. It's the number of layers on his shoulders.
Yeah, and that's basically why I love the game. It's simple. It's literally 6 missions per round. One of them will be cull. 4 or 5 of them will be, or 4 of them will be cull dinosaurs. Second to last one will be transport the data orb or whatever the fuck it is to the location, and the 6th mission would be defend it from the enemy team. And at that point, you can just fucking murder everything because dinosaurs will still spawn. You'll fight fucking raptors, and you'll have to deal with the enemy team while you finish the big upload thing. And that's fucking great. I love doing that. And you also get this thing called a Dominator, which allows you to summon and kind of pilot a dinosaur. So at certain points, you can just commandeer a T-Rex and just stomp through the enemy's base. Yeah, you're right. It is just basically ask a 10-year-old or a 5-year-old, what kind of game do you want? Robots, dinosaurs, evil computer. Let's do that. It's just basically...
Okay, buddy, now we need some good guys. How would you like to fight a dinosaur? With a sword!
Dinosaurs with swords. Yeah, let's do it.
I fucking love it.
Like, you can just imagine that kid going, okay, I want to make a different dinosaur, but I want to make a dinosaur that explodes. Like, yes, let's do it. Child's a genius.
I keep hearing people say how like gaming is dying, and it's normally just to do with Destiny. Destiny is as good as it used to be. Stuff isn't quite the same. Like the live services are kind of getting tired, and everyone's kind of fed up of it. So therefore, gaming is dying. And then you hear about stuff like this, and you're like, maybe there's an answer out there where we just go to an idiot or a child and be like, what do you want to do? What do you want to see? What do you want to have right now? And have them go, I want to be a cat. I want to run in a city, and you get straight.
Yeah.
I want to fight dinosaurs with a sword.
Yeah. Because look at it, Splatoon. You tell me that some kid wasn't, shooting his brother with a water gun, then talks to his dad. He's like, Dad, can you make a game where it's me and my friends and we just paint the fucking walls? And, whoever wins at the end of it is the person who's painted the most of the walls.
But Dad, can I be a squid?
Can I be a squid and swim through the paint that I've dropped on the floor?
But that means you won't be a kid, son. What if I can be a squid and a kid?
Holy shit, kid, you're a genius.
Just listen to that kid. He's onto fucking something. He
Yeah,
really
that
is.
kid's like, listen to the kid that helped write Splatoon 3. That kid's going places.
There's a Splatoon 3.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I remember the first one coming in, and that's where I get the squid now kid now joke from Jim Sterling, I think. And then all of a sudden it's like there's a third one. I remember a second one coming out, but a third one's impressive. That one slipped by me.
They're actually pretty good games. I actually enjoy playing them.
It's like I know this is for kids, but it's kind of badass. I kind of enjoy myself.
Oh, dude, there's entire leagues devoted to Splatoon 3. Like, Nintendo do, they do like Splatoon championships every 6 months or something like that. Splatoon is an esport, dog.
I mean, like I kind of got it when Overwatch was a thing, and I was like, but it's a bit cartoony. Like I'm used to it being like CS:GO and stuff like that, like where it's just straight like shooter. That's all it really is. Call of Duty makes sense, straight shooter. Or it was back in the day, and then somebody goes, oh, they're making this thing where it's a bit more kind of like anime, it's a bit more kind of cartoony. That's gonna be an esport, and then it's like, okay, there's squids and they're kids, and it's an esport.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool, go for it, I guess. It doesn't make me happy though that like there's an esport there that like is trying to be so serious, but something that's so inherently silly. I do approve.
Yeah, Nintendo's just making big swings with esports. It's kind of weird. The one that stuck was the game about hitting people with paint, ink.
Actually, did you finish Zelda yet?
Yeah, I managed to finish Zelda. It got to the point where I think I just had to. I think we did speak about it a couple of episodes ago, but I think it was 175 hours into the game. I thought there's a couple other things I could do, but for the sake of my fucking sanity and my sleep schedule, I just need to finish this now. And
I was gonna say, first episode it was like I'm at 40 hours in, and I'm at 80 hours in, 170 hours in. Holy
yeah, I think
shit.
I think I did speak about this last episode.
I remember it going from 40 to 80. I remember that. But damn, that's I'm trying to think of. I've played Oblivion about probably as much as that, and Skyrim. But beyond that, I can't remember the last game I played hundreds of hours in. I probably could pull up something along the lines of 7 Days to Die and probably find I've done horrible numbers there. but I really can't think of anything impressive actually. And you
Yeah.
felt like, not being rude about this, but you felt like satisfied and interested the entire time, because that's really fucking impressive if they pulled that off.
Yeah, I did kind of feel engaged because the shrines are genuinely that open ended in terms of how you finish them. You, you could spend hours just on the shrines alone, and trying to get all 152 of those bastards was a pretty big time investment. I'd say the area that could have been streamlined and made a bit easier in terms of just being able to traverse the fucking depths was the depths itself. Because you have to go and activate these things called light routes, where basically just underneath the shrines. So if you found the shrines, just mark it on your other map, then go down to the depths, find the mark, and you find a light route. But there's 120 of those, and then I just at that point, because I'd done that first, I just kind of thought if I'd left that till last, I would have easily shaved off a good few hours of this game because I would not have bothered doing that. But you know, fuck it, I did it, and I'm not gonna lie. There were some times where I'd get, killed by a strong enemy, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna walk away from this because I've spent too much fucking time. Fair enough, the autosave did save my ass a number of times, but there was too many times I just, you know what, this isn't worth it. I'm gonna go do something else. I'm gonna go and read, or I'm gonna go and, go outside, get some fresh air or something.
You know what's happening? You pick up a book, you're like, oh god,
Yeah.
I need to play something else. I did go and check 7 Days to Die, by the way, 507 hours. I didn't know it was that bad.
I think the most time I've ever spent in a game is 245 hours, just accumulatively over the years playing Smash Ultimate. So that's about over 5 years I've played that.
Yeah, that's about a normal amount of play for you, because you do play that game a lot. But I'm looking at it
Yeah,
going, did I play all that? That must have been whole weekends. Yeah, I do remember playing for whole weekends at some points. I feel like, that's my computer running funny.
Yeah.
That's 'cause it's
Why do you smell like burning?
where's that burning smell coming from? Oh, it's my processor giving up on life. It's yeah, I looking at the games listed, I'm like, there's some stuff in there I really need to play. I mean, I still have The Witcher 3. I still have The Witcher Wild Hunt to play. And I've not even touched it. I touched the first one and I can't get it to work with my computer. Even on Steam, my mouse and keyboard does not input into the game. Kind of terrifying. And then
That is an old game as well, though. That is made to run on Windows, 7?
I hear they're remaking it though.
Yeah, I've heard that they're remaking The Witcher 1, but see, to be honest, The Witcher 3 gives you a recap of the first two games, and The Witcher 3 is a pretty fucking good game, so I'd just go straight to The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Being totally honest.
I did play the second one. I can at least put inputs into that one. And then I think it was, I was looking at this now. Since January 17th, Game Rant has been reporting that the Witcher 1 remake is in the works by CD Projekt Red. So, okay, it is there on the way, and I will probably grab that because I do like the Witcher series.
Do you think CD Projekt Red are doing a Witcher remake because of the backlash to Cyberpunk?
I think
they're trying to fold in some goodwill.
I think when you look at what happened there, that was a disaster. A genuine, I'm using that word not lightly, a disaster that we have not seen in years. That should have sunk any other company. If put it that way, if that had happened to Activision Blizzard, we'd be happy about it. That's how bad it was. But I look at that and I think, yeah, I would try anything to get the fans back on my side. I don't know if you've watched Cyberpunk Edge Runners. I think that helped kind of like give the fans of the show or the fans of that world something to hope for. And then actually, from what I've heard, the game itself is back and very good. Like if you go into it now, it's good.
Edge Runners did give them a bit of a defib in terms of people going back and thinking, or people going back and trying it, and they did do some things to tie in Edge Runners just to get people interested in it, or people that had maybe seen the anime and jumped onto the game. But I never bothered with it because I played Cyberpunk and I played a lot of it, and it just got to the point where it was just not fun, and I kind of decided I'm not going to go any further on this because it just feels like I'm beating a dead horse. You know, I'm not getting any enjoyment out of this, and it's not getting any better.
Mm. It's different. As far as I can tell, it's completely different from the games. I've not actually played the games, it's hard for me to tell. It may tie in a bit more, but I just wonder if it is got too much overlap. But as far as I can tell, very different tone. Or it's a derivative narrative as opposed to you roaming around the world, so you don't get to see as much. But what you do see, you get this kind of glimpse, and it did make me interested as somebody who'd seen the absolute shit show of that launch, and seeing it realized in a different way and seeing, okay, this is what they're actually aiming for. You're like, oh, okay, this I could be interested in this, even if it's not really my usual thing. But yeah, I think that CD Projekt Red, if they're going back to The Witcher, would be good for them. I mean, second game, I do have the third one. I've not even touched that yet. That was the one I'm gonna actually commit to, I think, and play that for a couple 1,000 hours, like everyone else who plays it. But yeah, I mean, as somebody who's a fan of the Witcher books, curious to see how they handle it. Also a fan of the Witcher series so far.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing about The Witcher 3 is that it is a game that you can play it really however the hell you want to. You want to go more magic, go more magic. You want to go all attack, go all attack. And if you want to just main story, it's very easy to cut out quite a lot of the side stuff, but quite a lot of some of the side stories are pretty funny. It's kind of like Yakuza in that respect, where sure, you can just go from A to B and so on and so forth, but some of the side stories are pretty funny. Might be worth checking out. But yeah, I'd highly recommend The Witcher 3 and The Witcher Season 3. Season 3? Yeah, Season 3.
Yeah, Season 3.
Or for being pedantic, Season 3, Part 1.
I am so fed up of Part 1s and Part 2s. I'm like, just give me the show. I know why they do it. It's to keep subscriptions up so you stick around for it. Because it's like, oh, it's always like 6 weeks away or 8 weeks away. So it's like, I'll stick around for 2 more months. I'll pay for 2 more months of Netflix and not give a shit.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think they're just doing that so people will stick around. Like, just, Henry Cavill's coming back as Geralt. Just please stick around.
This is his last season, and I've not actually seen anything about the other guy. It's Hemsworth. It's not the main Chris Hemsworth. It's
Liam or something.
Yeah, I've not seen Liam Hemsworth as not enough. I've seen a lot of mock-ups and really shittily done AI art, but I've not actually seen any.
The AI art that I seen was fucking terrifying. I'm like, please tell me Geralt's not going to look like that.
Yeah. So I've not actually seen him as the Witcher yet, but knowing it's not going to be Geralt, and I'm like, it's making me a bit worried because this is the Witcher's, like, that's him. He fought for that role and helped make it happen. So it's kind of a shame to see him walk away from it.
Yeah, but, and especially when you had Sapkowski saying, Henry Cavill is Geralt of Rivia, you kind of feel like you kind of feel cheated a little bit that you found someone who literally wants to be the character, and then he's been driven out because the writers are just, quirky millennial writers that just don't like the source material all that much.
Yeah.
Although I did read recently that they wanted to kill off Roach for comedy. And I just remember thinking, thank fuck they cut that out, because I guarantee the fan response would have been vitriolic at its absolute best.
The thing is, I'm also pretty sure in the books, Roach dies. There has been more than one Roach. And
yeah, there's been several Roaches.
Geralt's horse is always Roach, so there are Roaches. But, doing it as a laugh, like doing it the way they did in the show, because it happens in the show and he dies, and it's quite a heartbreaking moment, but it's good. It's a good moment. In a way, like it's more about like what it does to the characters and everyone's reaction to it. Seeing Geralt genuinely upset that his horse has died, and he said it for a while, and he's like really annoyed and upset, and he takes it out on a monster. You're like, yeah, that's fine. That's a good moment for the show.
Yeah.
Being like, well, now let's kill the horse. Nah.
Yeah.
Don't
lean
do
into
that
the beams
shit
if you want, but just because Roach in the video games will just wander the area that you leave him in and potentially might end up on the roof of a house, doesn't mean you should just kill him for the hell of it, or kill him for a laugh.
Do you want to just talk about The Witcher 3? I've seen it. I'm up to date.
Yeah.
So I complained at the end of season 2 that they had basically shut off my favorite part of the storyline, which was Geralt and Yennefer going to the wizard's ball.
Yeah.
And they didn't really shut it off, turns out. You can just be like, it's fine. I'm sure they'll forgive me committing high treason. Because what are you gonna do? I'm Yennefer of Yengeberg. So
Yeah, that was one thing that did stick out in my head. That I was thinking, how the fuck are they going to do that? Because Yennefer did some pretty heinous. Well, not she did some pretty bad things against. Was it the Brotherhood of Mages or something they're called?
yeah, they were gonna execute a traitor from the south, and he was like, "Nah, let him free."
And
My little bit of cheeky high treason, and then just fucking runs away. And they just say, "Okay, I guess we'll let you back in anyway. Bring your boy toy with you; it'll be fine."
yeah, bring Geralt with you. And, bring that cheeky child Cirilla, because the whole thing when I was watching the Grand Ball or whatever the hell it is, I'm like, this just seems. Everything seemed to be going a bit too peachy for them. So, oh, we'll go and do this. Oh, we did it. Like, we'll go and sneak into Strigabor's study. Oh, we did it. Like, we'll stage a fight, and the fight's over, and we distracted them long enough. Everything just seemed to fall into place a bit too nicely.
I hope I'm not misremembering the books, but they do go in with a plan of, okay, I do need to speak to. Actually, it doesn't happen like that. The way it's presented in the books is that you're cutting between Geralt and Yennefer in bed afterwards, and then cutting back towards what happened during the night. Geralt's telling her, "Oh, I went to this person, I spoke to this person. This mage tried to fuck me. She tried to suck my dick. It was awesome, but I said no because I'm a good guy. We're back together again." And then, yeah, I ended up chatting to this weird guy in a room full of paintings. Like that was the night for me. What happened to you? Whereas in the show, they make it seem like there's one series of events, and then they pull the fucking Ocean's 11 card and being like, haha, but that was all part of the plan. And then show you exactly like what you didn't see because they just cut around it. It's not like you didn't see it because you were misinformed or misled. It's just they stop showing you that part of the thing they filmed, and then they show it to you again with extra information afterwards. I'm like, this sucks dick. I'm really sorry because it's like it's a decent scene. It's interesting that they brought in other characters to get involved in their escapade to try and get into Strigabor's like private room and stuff. But like that whole part of the show is now like missing because what actually happens in there is a dialogue between Geralt and another one of the witches or another like a high level wizard who tries to ask him to come and join and be a wizard and asks him what he likes about the world and what he wants to do and if he would consider joining him and learning magecraft and becoming a mage because that's what his mother did. And it's a really interesting, deep conversation, and it's one of those classic scenes where somebody thinks they've got the up on Geralt, and they're like trying to like talk down to him like he's a fucking idiot. And then Geralt just turns around and just body slams him verbally, and it's an awesome scene at the end of another like series of awesome scenes. And
and instead we just get Vilgefortz saying, "You want to join the mages, Geralt?" And he goes, "Nah." It's kind of we put it in there to satiate people, but we didn't dwell on it.
It was a letdown, and it's a shame because the rest of the show was actually pretty good. I do like that whole thing with the experimental children. That's in the books, and it was done just as creepily there as it was in the fucking books. I was a bit worried when I saw the opening scene, and for some reason, I don't know what this is about you, but I am getting bored of camera movement. I kind of like a static shot with a character just monologuing. I always feel like that looks better. It feels like there's less effort in it, but at the same time, it seems more natural for television. And for some reason, there was something about like one of the first shots when they show like begin with that Geralt and Yennefer and Cirilla are moving around. Or that's not Cirilla.
Yeah, Cirilla.
Ciri, there it is.
I think her full name is Cirilla.
I think Cirilla's her princess name. I think.
Yeah, Princess Cirilla of.
Yeah.
Sintra. I don't know why cilantro popped into my head. I'm like, I fucking hate cilantro.
Princess cilantro. But they show them
Queen
like,
of the soapy Greek shit.
They show like a quite a funny scene of them going to different like towns and then just kind of realizing they're going to be stalked and followed to disappear, and like the same kind of series of events as these letters are being read between Geralt and Yennefer. It was something about the fact they stop at one point, and as Geralt's talking, the camera pushes past Geralt out onto this wide vista, and I'm like, you didn't have to move that camera. I was just happy to sit and watch Geralt monologue behind or in front of an awesome backdrop. You didn't have to fucking push the camera. It was very weird to begin with, but then like that was the only thing I'm like, what is this show doing? Until we get to obviously the dance scenes, and I'm like, my favorite part of the books as you read them or as you listen to them is the like the never-ending kind of rivalry and tension and love between Yennefer and Geralt, and how it all comes together through them taking care of Ciri. And it's just such a a key part of the book, and that was the one part of like that first part of season 3 is where that really kind of came to a fore, like where it's like, okay, now like it's important what what the parents decide for their kid at this stage. So that felt good. That felt like that's the part of the show I'm here for. The awesome action scenes, like this fight between the squirrel. I keep saying Squirtles, like the fucking Pokemon. Disappear from the witch's Squirtle.
I mean, it'd be a short fight if it was Geralt versus Squirtle.
That'd be fucking funny though.
Geralt versus the Squirtle squad. It wouldn't go well.
He just comes back with the one with the glasses on the tip of his sword and just fucking throws it at somebody.
I reckon he'd keep one of them.
We're tiny monsters.
Yeah. I reckon Geralt would keep one and kill the rest. Like,
yeah, I just that like the squirrel, because it's the squirtile units, but it's referred to as the squirrels by the humans, because they're like, we're not living like Elvish, suck a dick. The books are very racist between elves and men, in a way that's kind of refreshing. Because I've been also listening to the Silmarillion, and the way the elves feel about the humans in those books, where they're like, "Oh, you people are just idiots. You're idiot children running around ruining the fucking planet," is like kind of the same way elves feel in the Witcher universe, but the humans just like, "Fuck you, you ancient dicks." I'll go have children. Oh wait, you can't. Fucking suck it. The level of racism in the Witcher books is hilarious. You're like, this feels like a metaphor for something in Europe. I don't know quite what to make of it, but it's a key component. Is just these two groups just like yelling at each other constantly, and just horrible things happening to like non-human races by humans. But I do like that the Witcher books are touching on that. Like the end of, I want to say it's season 1, when the elves are leaving, and they just leave, and as they go, like the leader, I guess the queen of the elves, magically kills every child in 100-mile radius. And just like a snap of her fingers, you're like, that was vicious.
Yeah.
But that's what I like about the Witcher books. It's very visceral, and that fight scene between the squirrels and the elves and the dwarves, and the fact that dwarves kicked some ass. Again, like we joked previously about like back in Game of Thrones, like the big guy wins a fight. When dwarves win a fight, I'm there for it. 100%.
Yeah, but the little guys managed to win. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Because there's always, every time in fantasy, there's always this kind of air of like, oh, the elves are just better than the dwarves. And it's like, nah, dwarves have strong points, elves have strong points. It just, writers favour the elven strong points, whereas dwarven strong points just never really get the boost they deserve. And like actually seeing like dwarves and elves go into like a proper like all-out fight, you're like, okay, that was cool. I like it. Especially when like, is it like a guy? It's not like a giant spear comes into play at some point and it just gets rammed through an elf. And you're like, Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
just must not trolls
some
with
kind
that
of
thing.
large weapon.
Yeah, but no, that was cool. I really like that scene. All the monsters, there wasn't a lot of monsters I feel in this season, because it's more about the journey of getting say from room to room. But the one on the boat,
that was pretty cool. There was the kind of conglomeration mutant thing.
Yeah, that like the spare parts of the witch children. And you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Because that's in the books as well, and it's just disgusting. It's just this abomination that Strigobor created, and you're like, please make it go away. It's fucking disgusting. But no, that was good. But then we're now at the point where it transitions from being Monster of the Week to the bigger plot that's been behind the story the whole time. That starts to come to the fore. But yeah, I'm looking forward to part 2, which is in a matter of weeks.
Yeah, I think it's a week.
I want to say 25th of July, but I'm making that up
For
at the same time.
27th of July. Because they usually like to drop shit on a Wednesday. Or they try and drop shit towards the end of the week. So
right
between the 25th and 27th of July.
Almost. No, wait, that was Volume 1. Was appearing on the 29th of June. And then second part, I hate these articles so much. Just get to the point.
Yeah.
27th of July, 2023.
Alright, so it is next Thursday.
So
Nice.
that'll be my weekend sorted, unless I realize I'm working that weekend. So I will I will definitely be talking about that the next part, because now we're into what happens next at the Grand Ball, which is interesting, and then into stuff that comes up later on. But I mean, beyond that, it's been fairly solid. So far, it's gonna really suck when Henry Cavill leaves. But
Yeah.
hey, celebrate the time we have left, not what happens next.
Yeah. Although I kind of wish I know I'm probably the only person that's having this problem, but do you not find fuck's her name, Siri a bit preachy this season? I get that she's trying to unite the continent or whatever it is, but I just find her a bit too preachy for my liking.
I feel like with her character, she's supposed to be, and they did bring up the fact that hey, she's a princess. She's used to getting no one's ever really told her no before, and if she's gonna get if she's coming into those teenage years, it's kind of like as a teenager, the world doesn't fit your view of the world, and it's time for the world to change. That's the kind of teenage perspective, whereas the adults it's more kind of like, I couldn't get the world to change. I'll just kind of get on with it and get along with my life, which is what Yennefer and Geralt have, where it's kind of like, I'm just making the most of what I can do, and I can do quite a lot, so I'll make the most of it and get on with my life. But I feel like with Ciri, you have to have that kind of petulant child a little bit.
Yeah, I guess.
And she's a bit spoiled, and she's a bit bratty, and she needs a good fucking slap every now and again. But I think what happens next, if they're following the books roughly, should take her down a peg. But and then what happens next will take her down a peg, and then what happens after that will basically murder her and bring her back as somebody new.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does fix itself over time, but I do remember being in the books and being like, I could feel Geralt's frustration because he's not a man of words and emotions. He's just a dude who kills things with swords, and he's there with a child who wants the world to be a better place than it is and can't stop complaining about everything and won't I think that's part of why he puts her through the Witcher training, is to toughen her up and maybe get her to shut the fuck up a bit.
Yeah. Let's get on with it.
Yeah. And then having her when she grows into a better person at the end of it, it's kind of like, okay, that's kind of what he was aiming for, was rough her up a little bit, take the princess out of her, though you can't really do that. And then just having a more balanced human being at the end of it. So yeah. Also, I forgot about the maze monster, that weird roly-poly thing.
Oh yeah, I actually thought it was pretty cool. I really liked the whole the maze thing when they're just trying to follow the Ciri's voice as she's being hunted by some kind of
cool concept. And you say it's a weird thing of they're obviously playing with the whole kind of we're lost in a maze on a fun family outing. Isn't this fun? Hey, did someone just scream? All of a sudden, it's not fun anymore. We have to go save someone, please. I dig that, and also as well, I'm a big fan of armored monsters, especially natural armor. Something about that kind of bug-like design. Also, I know a lot of people don't like bugs, but kind of weird buggish monsters. I really kind of dig those. So,
that kind of exoskeleton type of design.
Yeah, and as well, Ciri getting kills as well. That's always, and it's not like she gets kills because she's just better than everyone else. It's kind of she helps improvise with Geralt, and then they come up with a plan. They improvise a little bit, and then she's improving. She's getting better. I did actually like it's the thing where it's it's a basilisk. That guy in the market who's got a basilisk, and then it's no, actually it's a wyvern, and you're underfeeding it, and it's about to go fucking feral. And that scene plays it exactly the same way it does in the books, where you have this kind of upstart knight who's stand back, maiden, I shall protect thee, and she's I'm a witcher, bitch. I don't need you need my protection, motherfucker. This is an animal. But yeah, that plays out pretty much the exact same way it does in the books, and it's a good scene. I quite like that. That's one of those first moments of I was starting to take Ciri seriously at that point, because before that she's way more bratty, she's way more annoying, and you just want to slap the shit out of her. But there it's okay, she is actually learning, she's coming into her own, and she's growing as a person, and she drags along somebody. And actually the scene that follows it, where she's around that scene where she's being kind of walked around by this guy who's a bank notary, that again is straight from the books, and it is just straight down to just oh, like you have a normal guy dating this like a princess who is a magic using monster fighting badass, and like he just like, oh, I think you might like to open a shop someday, and she's like, I'm gonna save the world. Just this great paradox, and it's just a weird kind of like the different ambitions they both have, and just this weird kind of teenage, like a failed teenage romance. It's quite good to see it where like he's not getting her. He's gonna try, he's not gonna get her. But it's a good one. I do like it. It was the scene. There are scenes in that season 3 that make me like. It's like, why is he leaving? Please, what are they gonna do that's gonna piss him off enough to make him leave afterwards?
Yeah.
And they're getting like again, like there was a lot of thing of them not being as close to the books for season 2, and in season 3 they did try and rectify that.
Yeah.
I'm like, now that you're getting them as closer to the books, even if you're not quite nailing it, like seeing it that with that kind of storyline it makes me happy to see it like that because it's the adaptation it kind of deserves. Admittedly, it could always be better, but it's the adaptation it deserves.
Yeah, I think if they made more of an effort to do that towards season 2 before Henry Cavill was in talks of pissing off, I reckon they could have kept him on board. But it might seem as if it's a bit more of a slap in the face.
Yeah.
But
Like I don't think as well. Like with all the talk of him being like he's changing lines to make it better or make it better in his eyes, and I'm like, yeah, but like if they kind of bowed down to that, that would kind of set a horrible precedent.
yeah,
I think Netflix is trying to put themselves as obviously like with Marvel right now. It ends up being that now that the initial phase 1 stars are all basically out, like the Marvel universe has nothing really to stand on other than brand name. Whereas I think Netflix would rather be a place where the Netflix brand is bigger than its individual IPs, and the IPs are bigger than the stars. Because Netflix makes a lot of good stuff, but I don't feel like they work with a lot of stars. Like big names come on there to do bits and pieces, but like they don't have a big show that's been around since say Breaking Bad and House of Cards. And that's thing is those shows made their stars into household names.
yeah. I think their big flagship would be Stranger Things, but I think it's more of they took relatively unknowns and made them house names.
Yeah, they took
I think
kid
the big
actors
thing
there,
with
so
the big thing with the Marvel universe is you're saying that it's built on the back of the phase or the first phase heroes like Captain America or Steve Rogers, Captain America, Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr.'s, Chris Evans characters, all those guys. And now that they're gone, they kind of just have to float a little bit and hope that they've built up enough brand loyalty. But Marvel are kind of singing as fast as they can dance to now because Bob Iger is just shitting all over the project, saying the reason why Indiana Jones 5 failed was not because it was a fucking awful movie, it was because people are burnt out from hero films, and that's what they associate Disney with nowadays. And the current, I mean, I'm not going to say that the recent Marvel shows have been completely awful. There have been some good episodes here and there, but on the whole, the WandaVisions, the Falcon and the Winter Soldiers haven't been spectacular. I think the worst one probably been Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because I remember watching that thinking they could have just they could have completely removed the whole Flag Smashers aspect and the whole Super Soldier Serum is now rampant in the world, and they could have cut out that completely and just had it happen, and then have Sam and Bucky, their whole job is to try and curb the flow of Super Soldier Serum, but instead it's no, we need to go and deal with this new Captain America because he's a bit of a dick.
Yeah, I call it the fake Captain America as contrast to Steve Rogers, and to give them something to kind of like contrast. Like, okay, if one of us is becoming Cap, we can't be that guy. We have to be Steve. So I think if you make the movie, it's about them. I would have it be basically them trying to teach new Cap the ropes, and then have him realize this guy's fucking mental. He needs help, not the shield. We're gonna take the shield away. One of us becomes Cap. That's the fucking movie. And have him have fake Steve properly lose it. And just have it be the kind of disaster. But again, it shouldn't have been a series. It should have been a movie.
Yeah,
Because the
definitely.
concept, I don't mind the concept of the idea of like what happens when you have a legacy and you have to hand it on. I mean, that's the issue Marvel has now. If you have a legacy, it's died. How do you pass it on?
Yeah.
Making something like that would have been kind of meta and cool, but now it's kind of been lost.
If they'd done a story about Sam keeping the shield and him trying to deal with it, you know, it would have been fine. But the fact that he's already given the shield away at the start of it kind of makes you think maybe if we'd have been on board, like first couple episodes, he's trying his best to be Cap, but he decides, you know what, I can't step into Steve's shoes, and then it gets handed off. I think that would have been cooler. But the fact that Cap's final words were, you know, I'm giving it to a good man. You know, he hands it off to, well, words to that effect. He's handing it off to someone who's a good person, as opposed to Bucky, who's the more competent fighter, like the better soldier.
Yeah.
To then
the better
maybe
man versus
like
the better
6
soldier
months,
is a good argument. Yeah.
yeah, and then to what 6 months later, he just goes, "Nah, I don't want to be Captain America."
Yeah.
But I'm still going to be a hero, which is weird. I'm still going to be the Falcon, but I don't want to be Captain America. Which, again, if they'd walked us through that a bit more, it would have been better. Yeah, my original point: Marvel are kind of shitting themselves right now.
Have you seen
Because
they're doing Secret Invasion?
I have not started watching it yet.
Do you want to watch that and then we'll come back to it next episode?
Yeah, I suppose because I'm getting really burnt out on the Marvel TV shows. Because what was the last one that came out? She-Hulk. I
Oh,
tried so fucking hard to like that.
Please don't start.
No, I'm not going to start. I mean, I did like the Daredevil scenes. The costume was funky. But going back and looking at it, I just thought this as a series was not as greatest. So yeah, I just got majorly burnt out on the TV shows. And after, what was the last Marvel film I went to watch?
I mean, you saw Black Panther, but you didn't go to the cinema for that one, did you?
I did go to see Black Panther in the cinema, and I was not a fan of that at all. I thought it was shit. Ironheart was after I think Wakanda Forever was the last one I saw in the cinema, and then I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which again
you really didn't like that one.
No, Ant-Man and the Wasp was all right. If they just cut MODOK out of it completely, it would have been a better film. But it wasn't fucking awful, but it wasn't fantastic either. So it was a good 4.5 out of 5. But yeah, I'm just kind of burnt out on Marvel stuff, and although I am laughing a bit at DC's films right now because The Flash is currently set to end its run with a worse record than Green Lantern, the Ryan Reynolds version.
No
which
way.
I just find kind of funny.
I did see that the Flash was out there and it started off doing pretty okay, and then it's like, nah.
Yeah, I think people are quite rightly saying that the film itself isn't bad, but they can't say it's good because then they would be supporting Ezra Miller, which is fine because he was just on very, very, very many counts a badging.
That one there, he's a badging.
He is an absolute badging. I mean, child endangerment, child abduction. There's some kind of narcotics involved there, multiple counts of assault. Take your pick. The guy's an arsehole.
Yeah. And I keep getting fascinated by the fact they had like an all-star cast, and they're like, nah, I kind of want to cut ties with the Snyderverse, so everybody's gone except Ezra Miller.
We're keeping.
Ah?
Although apparently Flashpoint serves as a big, massive reset, so hopefully they're just going to use this as a chance to say, now you're no longer the Flash. Get the hell out of here, and we're phoning the police.
Thank you for your service. All your calls were recorded. They will be forwarded to the nearest police department. Goodbye.
We have your emails, and we have copies of all of them, so try and get rid of the original.
I do wonder about the DC stuff, but again, like it's they're going under such a big restructure. You're like, I don't know anything about them, so I'm just kind of get to ignore it for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I trust James Gunn. I think he'll do pretty well. He knows how to build the universe. He knows how to take big characters and make them likable, and he knows how to take smaller, lesser-known characters and make them likable as well. So I think he'll do fine. Just that it's a matter of time of waiting. He's starting with Superman Legacy as his kind of Iron Man character, so we'll see how that goes. And he is going for younger actors so that there's a bit more longevity to it, because Robert Downey Jr. was what 40 odd when he picked up the role of Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
He was never going to do that for longer than 10 years.
Yeah, the fact that we got like 12 to 15, I'll do. Although I wonder, with the problem for me is with the Avengers encompasses like a rotating cast of people. Okay, and towards the end, that cast list was getting so bloated that because you only knew about all the characters if you'd seen all the previous movies, all 60 of them. If you had to like jump in with just the Avengers, like the Avengers title movies, would you get everything that's going on? I don't think you would. And
no.
That was its own problem, but Marvel kind of dealt with it and just made 100 movies. I'm like, we don't care. You're gonna watch all of them, aren't you? And then, but with DC, like it feels like when you make the Justice League movies, or you make those type of movies, the Justice League is kind of like a fairly set. There's expanded members to the Justice League that only the comic nerds know about. But like the Justice League as an icon is really just like 6 or 7 people, isn't it?
You've got like the core. Yeah, the core Justice League.
Yeah.
I think they call them. There's a specific name for them. It's like the Founders or something like that.
The actually useful ones.
Yeah, the big guns. That's always, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, a version of Green Lantern, a version of Flash, a version of Aquaman. It's always like a version of Green Lantern. If I didn't say that already, there's always those kind of core characters, and then there's just all these other members of the Justice League, and that could be anyone from fucking random Z-listers like Booster Gold, or it could be here's Nightwing, here's Robin. They're also part of the Justice League as well.
Yeah, because I remember that I want to say it's the Injustice series where you've got like Green Arrow, and he shows up and he's like part of it. He has access to the Justice League halls and stuff like that, and he's involved in the fight. And I'm like, Green Arrow, okay, vaguely remember you, but go on. Didn't realize you made the cut. Must be running low on other supplies.
I mean, he's just a really good archer, though, man. He's just a really good. He hits that board every time.
Yeah, but like Superman can just do that with a laser from his eye.
Yeah.
No, but if we need like a bow shot through there, but Batman has his batarangs.
Yeah, and he's trained himself that he could throw one over his shoulder and hit the target. So, I mean,
I like the idea of like somebody who got him in being like, dude, my buddy needs a job. Okay, he's had a rough couple of weeks. The missus broke up with him. Let him be in Justice League. Okay.
Yeah. What's his name? Green Arrow.
Right, he's Green Arrow. Just treat it like a Make-A-Wish kid. Okay. Let him in. Let him do his thing. He'll be gone in a couple of weeks. Doesn't fucking matter.
I'm billionaire Playboy Oliver Queen. It's like, sorry, we already have a billionaire. We don't need another one. Oh, I shoot arrows. Green. It's like, we already have a green guy. I shoot arrows. I mean, we don't have one of those. I guess you.
I brought my own uniform. Fine, you can just grab a spare seat, not a real seat, like a folding chair. Bring a folding chair.
Go bring out the emergency chairs.
I like the idea that there's the Hall of Justice where the mighty Justice League sits, and there's a little supply closet off on the side with some folding chairs, if in case anyone else shows up.
I mean, you've got to have the emergency chairs, man.
The problem is, I went straight to the boys, and I'm like, the table is for the 7. Everyone else can stand in the corner.
I mean, they do have the meeting room, which is basically just the original cast. As you think, the original 7. They all get a seat at the Justice League table, and then there's just everyone else gets to stand around in the gallery.
We will decide. You will do as we tell you. Fuck off. Batman is speaking here.
Batman has the talkie stick.
I would love to see a superhero meeting that requires a talkie stick. I could see that in The Boys so clearly.
Yeah. In fact, that's going to happen in The Boys season 4, isn't it?
Yeah. Any word on that? Because I could really do with The Boys season 4. I'm not going to lie. You know what? Since I'm my Homelander fix. I know he's the villain, but at the same time, it's fucking funny.
I mean, Comic-Con is soon.
Here's the thing, though. Writers Guild's on strike, Actors Guild's on strike, and Actor Guild people will not be attending anything for PR purposes, so there will not be the same thing at Comic-Con if the Actors Guild is on strike. That might be an interesting turn of events, because obviously this is the first time Actors Guild's been on strike in a while. Writers went on strike early 2000s. I want to say 2008, but this was Writers and Actors Guild on strike for the first time since the 60s. And the Actors Guild going on strike means they don't attend public functions. So, for example, Oppenheimer was just screened in, I want to say it was the UK. It was the UK premiere of it, like for like a
Yeah, I
select
remember seeing that
audience.
it was in London, and they all literally just
Yeah, the actors had to
walked
walk
out.
out because they're there as part of PR. So they had to
Yeah,
watch. So sorry, and just walk straight out. You're like, okay, right, go do what you gotta do. You know, get your. That's a lot of people say, oh, the actors just want more money, and I'm like, this isn't about the actors that you know. It's about the actors that are coming up that you don't know. This is
yeah.
about the kids trying to make it in the industry. You know.
This is kind of about the writers that are trying to make their way through it and can't afford to buy a cup of coffee in the morning.
The Writers Guild thing is, but like the Actors Guild thing is understandable. The Writers Guild thing is
Yeah,
fucked. I can't
yeah,
explain to you how powerful the AI is at the moment because,
yeah,
like, I'm sure I've bumped into content like written. Okay, I sent a link to you for a gaming article that I saw, and I'm like, okay, this is clearly AI generated. But also at the same time, I feel like I've seen similar stuff that I didn't click onto as being AI generated. If that can generate lists and articles like that, writers for websites are fucked. And
yeah,
the work of writers in Hollywood is also fucked because if people are just happy with mediocre stuff, um, it's fair to say that AI can fill in do the rough outline of stuff, and then bring in the actual writers to polish up some stuff, give it the human touch, and then send it on its way to get that last 20% of polish done. Whereas
yeah,
actually sitting down to write something complex and meaningful is like it takes way more money and effort than studios are willing to put up with. And it's like the studios have made enough money to basically ruin to ruin the United States, and they're not happy with what they've got. I don't understand.
yeah,
I did look at this now. Basically, the boys is postponed due to the Writers Guild strike, meaning
yeah,
the show won't air. May air in late 2023 or sometime 2024. My money's on 2024.
yeah, probably.
Yeah. So obviously that's not quite finished yet, and obviously the writers are they'll be on set as well, so they'll be there delivering notes. And obviously Eric Kripke as a show writer is probably involved, so he's the showrunner as well.
Yeah,
So he's in the trenches until the end. So yeah, he's gonna
yeah,
be stuck making. He's gonna be stuck on the strike rather than actually. He just can't get away to make the show really, which is fair.
yeah. And you can imagine, given who the cast is in The Boys, it's a lot of. I mean, fair enough, they're getting their names out there now, but it's not really full of big names. I mean, Giancarlo Esposito and Simon Pegg are the two
Yeah.
biggest names probably in the cast.
Yeah, there
Maybe
are
Jensen Ackles.
favorites, but they're not
Yeah.
like household names.
Yeah, and you can imagine if there's a potential for them to get dicked out of much needed money. I can imagine Eric Kripke would be there on the front lines, make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So I mean that'll be interesting to see. But I at the same time that's interesting that everything basically kind of has to stop now in Hollywood. I'm interested. They knew this was coming apparently, and there's been suggestions that basically this was coming for a while, and that producers have basically slated up a bunch of reality TV because it's you don't need really writers, you don't really need producers, you need a couple of drunk idiots, get a couple of jacked and tan people in, give them a couple
Yeah.
crates of beer, let them fight over the hot girls. Everybody's gonna watch that because it's
Yeah.
junk food TV, so nobody's gonna give a shit.
Yeah, that's probably the best way I've heard to describe junk food TV. It's not good for you in any way, shape, or form, but it's there, and you want to watch something.
See, I hear when I'm at work, people talk about these shows like Love Island and stuff, and I'm like, there's no way you could sit and watch that. And then I realize I'll throw on some trashy anime and be like, I'm just watching it for the laugh. And I'm like, oh no, I'm doing the same thing, just with it's a cartoon as opposed to real people getting hurt. So yeah, I do kind of get it. I do kind of get the junk food TV appeal, but at the same time, you can do something better with your time.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I only have I only have a finite amount of space in my brain, and I'd rather fill that with important things. Spending time with family. 9-month-old baby there always brings a smile on my face. I don't want to then have the memory of my youngest niece babbling away and pulling lumps out of my beard and giggling her head off. I don't want that memory driven out by whatever the fuck a Kardashian is.
I love to go up to it. Can you explain what a Kardashian is, and just hand them the mic and just let them go, and just see how long it takes for them to stop. You don't interrupt. Yeah. You don't actually get involved. You just stand there going, you're nodding, and then you just let them talk and see how long it takes for them to stop. I don't think they would. I think you get a good solid 10 minutes out of somebody before they go, what was I talking about? I reckon that's the type of person that watches the Kardashians.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, they're going to eat well over the next couple of months if the writer strike doesn't resolve itself.
Oh, I never thought about that. Can you imagine? They just went, we'll just go film the Kardashians again.
Yeah.
The writer's gone on strike. Oh well.
We have a gold mine of stuff to watch.
That's on Disney
Just go
Plus.
follow these fucks.
Fucking, I know it's on Disney Plus. I don't know why I'm checking. I'm almost certain that the Kardashians are on Disney. Something like that. There's a ton of trash like that. It's probably up there.
Yeah.
It's Yep, the Kardashians. All the like 5 or 6 different shows that they make are all on there, as well as Bluey. So okay, that's cool.
The fuck is Bluey?
It's the new, like, you know how there was like for us it would have been I want to say Teletubbies, and then,
So is it the new kid show?
yeah, there was like Dora the Explorer and stuff like that, and then now it was Blue's Clues for a bit, and then what was a really creepy one? It was a guy who did gymnastics. The one Robbie Rotten was on it. There was, I can't remember the name, like Toontown or something like that. And then this is Bluey for the kids that are growing up now. Okay, cartoon dog works for me. As long as it distracts children, fine with it. Just
Yeah.
I don't
As long
want
as
to
it's
deal with
not
children.
As long as it's not the pink demon that is Peppa Pig. Like, if you want to raise a brat of a child, let them watch Peppa Pig. The arsehole. Fat shaming Daddy Pig and talking back to Mummy Pig. Wee cow.
That's
Sorry, you just brought back some fucking...
you got
I
Vietnam
feel-
flashback there. I'm just kind of like,
Aye.
no.
Like, I feel like that bit in It's Always Sunny. It's like, you opened me up. You did this to me. I don't want to remember. Like when Frank goes in for therapy.
Yeah. Is it like Frog Boy or something?
Froggy, yeah.
Froggy.
I don't want to be Froggy.
That came up recently, and I just started rewatching some of It's Always Sunny clips. Actually, it was because of the podcast. Their podcast is fantastic.
Oh, the podcast is great, but it's going on hiatus for a while.
Probably due to strikes.
Probably due to strikes, and I heard that Rob McElhenney got a laundry list of sort of mental illnesses and like sort of developmental disorders. He got officially diagnosed with quite a few.
Oh,
So it's in
shit.
the latest. Yeah, it's in the latest episode, which I've got downloaded on my phone, but I still need to listen to it.
Okay, I'm going to check that one out, because I just got into it like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was
Oh,
watching.
yeah, no, the
random episodes.
podcast is fantastic. It's as much of... It's basically what you would expect from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia if they were to just sit down and talk for an hour and a half. But they also have their host slash sound operator, a woman named Megan, just to kind of wrangle them in if they get a bit too weird.
She
But
is so good at idiot wrangling.
Yeah.
I want to give her a job. I'm like, can you
Yeah.
just help me do stuff in my life and just get all the idiots out of my way? You're like the definition of a professional. If you never
Yeah.
know what a podcast producer should be doing, it's Jamie from Joe Rogan Experience, and it's her. It's Megan
Yeah.
from It's Always Sunny podcast. She's just great. It's been like, guys, back on track.
Yeah. Like, there was an episode recently when they were arguing about drinking milk. And Megan, I think her name was Megan Gann, she's kind of jumped in and said, guys, I'd like to bring us back to episode 8 of season 5, if we can. And they were like, yes, let's talk about this. How much power does she have? Too much.
What does she have? Does she have like some kind of shot collar and all of them? Like there's a
She just
proper
waves the
taser.
remote at them.
There is a very real taser embedded in each of the chairs, and they will feel it.
But they've got some kind of Suicide Squad-esque bomb implanted in the back of their head.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a damn good podcast, and it's exactly what you kind of wanted to hear from the kind of writers' room of that, and it does feel like that kind of like half improvised session, because I watched one where they're basically trying to give an example of what it's like to write the episode and how they basically get the basic idea of the story out, and then they go in and fill the jokes later. They say, we'll not do the jokes, but we'll show you the basic idea of how we get a story together for It's Always Sunny. And you're like, oh yeah, that does, like, yeah, when you look at how episodes are structured, like, yeah, it does kind of make sense that this is the formula they go through for their weird ideas. Okay, with that, I think we move on to just our elevator pitches. Because we've been going for about 90 minutes now. So, also actually, just before we're talking about podcast producers, I quite like the guys at Your Mom's House podcast. It's Tom Segura's thing. They're pretty good. they go through some shit to deal with Tom. Just don't know if you've like seen his what they call the heavy segments. It's behind the paywall, so it's like they don't put it on YouTube, but there's like the premium live shows that they do. I've seen some of the stuff they do for Two Bears One Cave, and the stuff that goes on in those like the private shows is way more fucking wild and out there than what they show on the main stuff. So if you ever get the chance and you really want to be grossed out, watch one of those shows because they're genuinely some of the worst content I've ever seen. It's like, hey, we found this thing on Live Leak, and we're just gonna show it to guests. You're like, no.
Your Mum's House. That's him and Tom Segura and Christina P, isn't it?
Yes, and then Two Bears is him and Bert Kreischer.
Yeah, I don't know what it is recently, but Bert Kreischer is just not funny to me anymore.
I've gone off him in a big way, and I saw a video. It was like a real kind of like a bit of a dick about the comedy like community of the LA thing, the whole podcast scene out there. You know what? He's got his grievances, and I don't begrudge him that. He's got good points, but he was going into like really going hard on Bert, and pointed at the fact that there was a clip of Bert talking about him wanting to be seen laughing in viral moments because it does well for him, like in terms of social media engagement, because he's the funny guy reacting to funny things, and it helps push his career and stuff. And you're like, that immediately, considering he has such an annoying laugh, really kind of like rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm like, that's kind of like once you hear it or once you're annoyed by it, you can't go back to how it was before. So I mean, I only listen to Two Bears episodes where he's not involved, unless he's got a really good guest on, and I'm like, I'll put up with Bert to get to listen to Tony Hawk, for example.
I think for me it was just I watched a video with him recently, and it was him. Like, it's for Fully Loaded Fest, and it's him walking about in his underwear with a cigar and a water pistol, and then he jumps into a paddling pool or something. I'm like, you're a 45-year-old, 50-year-old man. How old is he?
I can't remember how old he is, but he's up there.
He's pushing 40, we'll say.
Yeah.
Like, rein in the party dude, because you must be going, party dude, oh crap, my back. Like,
born
no one wants
November 3rd, 1972. That man is 50.
Yeah. He's 51. Like,
no, he'll be 51 this year, or like later on this year. But at the same time, like, he's 50.
Yeah.
He's 10 years younger than my dad. Nah.
Yeah. It just gets to the point where you're watching a 51-year-old man either make up stories that aren't true or rehash stories that he's probably told several times or stories that happen to people near him. It's just, like, give it a break, man. Like, it's just not my cup of tea anymore. I actually kind of find that I prefer Tom Segura nowadays.
Yeah. Like, Tom Segura's his special that came out recently it's one of the things that's more storytelling and it's more about funny stories, but his jokes are like so weird and out there that's what I want to hear. But elevator pitches. So I recently was watching Our Planet, David Attenborough's Netflix series. Fantastic, but at the same time very depressing because I don't know if you noticed, the planet's not in great shape right now. No. So I've been looking for like a group of people to kind of support and like enjoy their creative content in terms of how to make the planet a better place. And this is after the whole established titles thing, which we talked about before, where they were basically selling a plot of land to people for like £5, and it would enable you to become a Scottish lord or lady based on the right of calling landlords lords in Scotland, which lairds, which neither of us had ever really heard of.
Yes, I mean, I think I'd heard of the name laird, but I didn't really know what it meant. But it still pissed me off that all these American fucks, picking on the American, but all these people, all these YouTubers are going, I am now a laird of Glencoe. I'm like, fuck off, you have a piece of paper that says you own 5 inches of land.
Come here and I will slap the shit out of you.
With the piece of paper that says that you're a laird.
So after that was kind of like my immediate reaction was, okay, well, there needs to be somebody out there doing like good environmental work, because there's a service there to plant trees for a donation. We've used it. I used it. I contributed to Mr. Beast's 1 million trees thing. And again, it's like I do, kind of want there to be an environment for people to grow up in when I'm gone.
Yeah. You'd like for there to be a planet that's still thriving when you're not on it anymore.
I think it's like, I'm not gonna lie, the planet's gonna survive. Save the planet, save yourself, okay? Neil deGrasse Tyson had a point about this. The planet's gonna be fine. You're fucked. Okay. So, I went looking for like any kind of conservational YouTubers and found a channel called Mossy Earth, and they crowdfund their projects through just like I want to say it's like a kind of private version like GoFundMe or something like that. They basically take in any kind of volunteer dollars. They work with other companies that are in the kind of the sphere of kind of conservation, and they basically fund these projects of conservation all across Europe, and I think they're starting to branch out into other parts of the world as well. And they are just going through and re-establishing wildlife, but taking the time to ensure that what they're re-establishing there is native fauna and native flora as well. Because you can introduce an invasive species, looking at you, Australia, and you can end up with a fucking horrible nightmare. So, for example, like the American South has a huge problem with like pigs. That's because somebody wanted to bring over pigs for bacon in the settling pioneer days of America, and some of those pigs got out and bred like fucking pigs. So now in the South, you can hunt boar with a minigun because there's so many extra pigs and boars just roaming the wilds. That's how you handle an invasive species in America. These guys are taking the time to go and investigate what actually should belong in certain areas and what is a natural part of the ecosystem, and trying to do these projects that go from like quite small things like try to like clean up rivers in Scotland so that salmon can use them, to like flooding forests, which I think is one of my favorite videos. I'll put that link on here as well. But the video I'm showing is it's restoring a kelp forest in the ocean. And I chose this because a lot of the stuff I really like about stuff that David Attenborough does is to do with the ocean, because we have so little clue about what's going on in the ocean. And I think that might be an overlooked part of climate change and global emissions and stuff. It's very easy to say they're cutting down too many trees, we need to plant more trees, and then you look at the state of the ocean, you're like, oh, the ocean's fucked beyond repair. But there are people still trying to fight the good fight and repair the oceans by planting kelp forests, and they actually show you the difference from the area they take the kelp from, like all the natural, like the tiny fish that are floating around, these small shrimps, these these living organisms that need the kelp to survive, and then the fact the kelp isn't there, and they show you what happens when you remove the vegetation from the ocean. But it's just I like the ocean. I think it's fucking terrifying. You will never catch me in a scuba suit unless if you see me in a picture in a scuba suit, send help. I've been held at gunpoint.
You're being held against you. You're being held against your will.
Yeah. But I love the ocean in a weird way. Like it's just I love it from afar. I will go in for like up to like I'll swim in the ocean, but at the same time, fuck going all the way down there.
Yeah, I mean I'll hang out on a beach, but
yeah.
Here's a bit of a behind the curtain for you. When I was younger, thanks to fucking Pinocchio, I was really scared of whales because those things could just swallow you whole and not even fucking notice. Those things terrified me. So yeah, I don't want to go where they live.
Yeah, but at the same time, I watch whole videos on thalassophobia. So
yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to just highlight a good channel. I think Mossy Earth do good, interesting work, and they show you their process as well. It's not just about like, oh, we're doing this thing. Like it's not like a 6-second video. It's like 15 minutes of how do you restore a kelp farm. Yeah. No one's ever really thought to show me that before. So it was interesting. That kind of outside of school education that I think YouTube does best these days.
Yeah. We're going from something that has got actual value and meaning to it, something that is just, a good bit of fun. Something that I always used to like doing back in the day was I played a lot of fighting games, and I played a lot of sort of wrestling games like SmackDown 2002, that kind of thing on the PlayStation 2. And they always had really, really good create a character features. So the whole point of it in my head was just make these weird people that would never exist in the existence of humanity. Make the Hulk, but he's got tiny bird legs or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always fun to do that and just have these weird creatures fight other creatures, like proper freakish looking characters. And then in Street Fighter 6, they've brought that back. And in the sense that you can just make these like weird and wonderful characters through their create a character system, which is probably some of the best create a characters that I've seen, because you can, change finger length, you can change how big their forearms are, you can change how tall they are, how wide they are, how big their pecs are, how big their stomach is. You can change every aspect within reason of the character. So people have taken to going online in Street Fighter 6 and doing what they like to call freak fights.
Right. Okay.
And it's basically your weird freakish character against someone else's weird freakish character. And my elevator pitch for this week is Maximilian Dude's video, just called Freak Fight, and I think it's about 20 minutes, like 18 to 20 minutes of just these freak fights, and it starts off with him saying, "Oh, I want to see it go weirder. I want to see it go more out there," and it goes there. And this is the first of about 3 videos that he's got up on his channel of these freak fights in Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, we did go through some of the designs. I kind of skimmed the video, and I'm like, it does start off kind of like, oh, it's just a couple big people, and then it gets to like, just how did you make that?
Yeah, it goes from, here's my version of a Bloodborne hunter, here's my version of Mr. X from Resident Evil 2, and it's like, here's my literal interpretation of a nightmare, and it's just this small, like, sleep paralysis demon looking motherfucker.
So, what slider did you move to make that?
Yeah. Like, how did you make Popeye? Like, I want to know how you did that. Yeah, check out Maximilian Dude's videos on Street Fighter 6. In general, if you want to check out Maximilian Dude's channel, you'll get an education in fighting games. But he does do some really funny stuff on there, and I'd highly recommend his Freak Fight series.
Yeah, it was wild to be like, how do you? And it's as well. Here's an anime opening. I fucking love that. It's such an extra little touch, but it's so good.
Yeah, the anime and fighting game spheres overlap so heavily. Like, if I said that to someone who's actually a member of the FGC, I would get slaughtered on the spot for it. But you need to realize at some point that some fighting games, even though they're not anime fighters, are heavily anime. Yeah. You look at Street Fighter, look at Kami, and tell me she's not an anime character.
Guilty Gear.
Yeah, Guilty
entire
Gear is
roster comes straight out of like a Persona game or any random anime high school. I don't give a shit what you say. It's a fucking anime game.
Guilty Gear is an anime fighter.
Yeah, that one deliberately is anime fighter, but there's some stuff I'm like, I mean, there's a reason that, was it Tekken? Was it Bloodline? Was that the one that
Tekken
came out?
Bloodline.
Yeah, Tekken Bloodline. That translated pretty well to anime for a reason,
Oh yeah, Tekken's pretty anime. Like, you've got an edgy anime main character who transforms into a literal fucking devil. Tekken's pretty anime.
Or the guy with a lion for a leopard for a head.
Yeah. His name's King.
You want to back that with any kind of backstory? Nah, just King with a leopard head. Fuck you.
There's like different versions of King. There's King, Armor King, and I'm pretty sure there's Super King.
I want to see Armor King right now.
Armor King's pretty badass, though. And you've also got Kung Fu Granddad and Heihachi.
I went on the wiki and it's like the PlayStation 2 version. It's not it's not badass at all, but it's fucking funny. But then you see the fan art version, that's badass.
Yeah. Well, there's a newer version of Armor King. One from Tekken 7 or something.
Bro, he's badass.
Yeah, what are you talking about? That's badass as fuck. It's not hokey at all.
Right, we went distracted by cat people again.
Yeah.
We're about to wrap up the show, but as per usual, let's shout out to our current social media platforms. You've been looking into Threads. Am I right in saying?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it might be a good choice, but it seems kind of basic just now. But we'll keep you guys posted. Unfortunately, we're still on the stupid Bluebird website right now. What's the Twitter handle?
At Gibberpish.
Yeah, we'll be there for the foreseeable until Elon decides to fully shut down the site, or we move over to Threads.
But when that does happen, you can reach out to us on an email at gibberfishpodcast@gmail.com. In the meantime, I've been Colin Graham.
I've been Dom Anderson.
And we've been talking Gibberfish.